Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
This is our bonus episode number 3. It is the recap of World Cup Finals with Josh Redden from Haltech. I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Josh with MitsuTimes. We have another bonus episode, this time with Josh Redden, sales manager, Haltech USA. How you doing today, Josh?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
We talked a little bit about my experience after I sent out the newsletter thing, but man, I had such a great time. It was definitely life-changing for me. I know that wasn't your first. What did you think? How did this year compare to previous years?
Well, it definitely wasn't as cold. That's 100% for sure. Usually that race is freezing and you're wearing everything you can to stay bundled up and warm, and it was actually really enjoyable and really pleasant weather there at the track this year.
Yeah, it was excellent. I mean, especially compared to the shootout, it was like summertime.
Oh, yeah, like those roles were completely reversed this year. The shootout's usually hot and you're melting, and the shootout and the World Cup Finals is usually freezing cold, and this year it's completely backwards.
It certainly didn't keep the cars from going fast. I know we had almost every Mitsubishi that went out set a personal best either during the event or the Monday following. What did you see, event wide as far as how the cars were doing?
Oh man, everybody always comes to that event set on kill and ready to set records and to go rounds and just have a good time. And that event has become one of my favorites over the years for that reason, and just the culture at that race. The people from every avenue of racing are all just there to kind of help each other, to hang out, have a good time, to go fast, set records. It's just such a good time. Like that's one of the reasons that I really enjoy the shootout. It's always kind of felt like a family reunion to me. But World Cup Finals is definitely becoming that same thing for me now. I've been attending the event since 2016. And every year it's more and more fun. The cars are always fast. They're getting faster. It's kind of insane to think about where we were 6 years ago and where we are now. Guys are just so much faster. Like, technology's gotten so much better. Turbos are so much better. Engine management's so much better. Fuel injectors have gotten better. Like, everything is just improving so much, and people are figuring out how to make these things so much faster. It's kind of nuts where we've gotten to, actually.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, I mean, you would expect there's a lot of money on the line. I don't know how many people are not familiar with World Cup Finals, but there's a lot of money on the line. And you would expect people to be pretty cutthroat, but you still see people like they would at the shootout, taking parts off of their car if they got knocked out to get another car back out there. I thought that was just incredible.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, man. Like, everybody's there to help everybody go fast. It doesn't matter if you're competition or not. I'm sure it does to some people, but a lot of people that I deal with and that I work with, it's just everybody's there to see everybody go fast, and they'll help however they can. I remember at the same race last year, being in the pits, getting a transmission swapped in Adriana Noonan's car because we thought we got called to the lanes when they were telling us to be ready in case. So we're down there with the crew from Kigley, with our crew that were there working on the car, and everybody's there pitching in and working. And then out of the blue, you have guys like David Farlow and his tuner Eric Gold show up and like, what do you need? How do we help? What can we do? And you got the guys from English Racing there next to us offering to help and letting us borrow their engine hoist and all this stuff. Like, it's just such a good environment, man. Yeah. It's such an amazing race. If you've never been, I highly recommend that you go, especially since it's sold out this year. Like, next year is going to be just as crazy.
Yeah, if not crazier, for sure.
Yep. And
you still got the late night shenanigans, just like shootout foot races. I seen a couple scooter races as I was leaving late night on Saturday.
Oh gosh, what time? I think I left at like 1 a.m. Saturday night, and as I was walking up from like where Devin and Michael Waller were pitted, I happened to like walk past I guess it was between the 316 speed and David Farlow's rig there, and there was just this huge party going on. Like, music was blaring. Everybody was out in the middle of the staging, or not the staging lanes, but they're in the pits just dancing and carrying on and drinking, having a good time. I was walking through and somebody was like, hey, run down there and get this car and come back and let's do this nasty burnout right here in the middle of the crowd. And I was like, No, I'm not doing that.
I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever been to because people were coming from, they brought their cars from across the world to come to this race and to see so many cultures there intertwined and to enjoy the same passion for racing. That was, that's something that, I can't even put into words. People really have to be there to experience what that's like.
Oh, that's 100% true. And when you say they come from all over the world, like we're not just saying like our continent. People ship their cars from the islands up here. People
South Africa, one of them.
South Africa ship their cars over to come to this race. Dude, it's wild. It's such an awesome mix of people and cultures, and it's just such a good time.
Yeah, for sure. And you got to be fast to get in, that's for sure. And they certainly didn't disappoint in having not only a big selection of cars, whatever you were into was there, and whatever you was into was there going fast.
Absolutely.
I mean, everything from pro mods to, clapped out Fox body Mustangs that were still throwing 8-second runs down and, everything in between.
Oh, yeah. You even had some guy in an old Bel Air that's set up to do drag racing. Like, it was this classic car that you'd see at, like, a Cars and Coffee or something like that. And if he took the drag pack off of it, it probably would have fit right in at one of those type of events, like classic car meets.
Yeah, that thing was incredible.
That thing fires up and you get to looking at some of the suspension underneath of it and the wheel and tire package, and you're like, oh, this thing's pretty serious. Like, this thing's a bad mamma jamma. But dude, yeah, you're right. There's absolutely everything: trucks, bikes, cars, old cars, classic cars, new cars, imports, exotics, pro mods. It's all there in one location, and everybody, like you said, everybody's there to go fast, and every pass is single-digit passes. It's insane. Your perception of speed gets so skewed once you go to this race that when you go back to your local drag strip and you see guys running 12-second passes, you're waiting on them to get to the finish line.
Somebody told me at the shootout, I told them I was headed to World Cup for the first time, and they said, you see how everybody just reacted to Nick Amaril's 7-second pass here? I said, yeah. They said, once you go to World Cup, that'll just be a regular pass.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, when you got guys in like the stick shift class clicking off 6-second passes every pass, every time they go up to the line, they're just clicking off another 6-second pass. Or you see these guys in the pro mods running, low 6s, 5-second passes. It's mind bending the first few times you watch it, and then you just realize you don't have time to take it in and like process it because it's one after the other after the other. Yeah,
exactly. I was down there by the timing light, just watching them go by at speed, like, man, this is really something else here.
It begins where it's at.
And it's not like, obviously cars go fast at a lot of NHRA events, but this isn't like that. This is, you're in the pits, shoulder to shoulder with these guys. They're driving past you. They have their pit cars going past you. This is something really special.
Absolutely. And then to see everybody like pitching in, like we have people that show up, they're not even part of the pit crews. But they have a passion for their friends or their cars or whatever it is that they're after, and they get there and they run into people that they've only known online, and then they end up picking up a wrench and helping them work on their car. And like that is cool to see, especially for the guy who just showed up to help. And then that person goes out and sets a PB, and like you feel like there's a piece of ownership, or this piece of like I helped, and there's a really cool dynamic that takes place there. And you're like, oh, suddenly this racing is not just looking at time slips online anymore. It's real.
Yeah.
So,
and it puts, it puts a small kind of grassroots racer on the big screen, because you look at where Jared Early was parked. He had twin turbo Vipers on both sides of his pit, but yet 1320 was down there taking pictures of his car. Like,
yeah, it's funny. It's funny, like sometimes where the cameras end up, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like you have these exotic cars and stuff there, but like the fans aren't there for the exotic cars. The fans are there for anything that goes fast. So when the exotic cars go out there and they click off a 9-second pass, you're like, oh well, that's cool. That clapped out, Civic just ran a 6,
right,
or a 7, whatever. So.
Man, the Mitsubishis definitely came to swing for the home runs. It was crazy to see, not just them get off the trailer and go fast, but I think Rafe, third round of qualification, had already broke the Evo world record.
Oh yeah, what was that? He said that as a like a
7650 was his first one, and
7.65.
then
Yeah,
ran a 756 on Monday.
yeah, that's insane. To think that, was it 3 years ago when we were doing that whole 7 second shootout thing for the Evo car,
Yeah.
like for the Evos, like trying to break into that, and then Rafe's coming out here and just clicking off 7 second passes every other round. Like, so are the guys from English Racing, man. They got the black one that they're out there just 7 second passes here and there. Like it's awesome. The Yorkies Evo is out there doing the same thing.
Yep.
Like yeah, they're. It's funny to like see them go make that pass. You come through and like the cylinder heads are off the cars every few passes. I mean, like you really start to see the. I don't want to say the design flaws, but there are some weak points in these motors. And when you go out and you click off a pass like that, you come back, first thing you do is pull the valve cover off and see how many rockers you kicked.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely we see there's obviously, they push a block to the engine so much to where we have billet blocks now, but we don't have a fix for the head. So you're starting to see now, what the head's capable of, because we're on the farthest stretch of rings of how far we can push the head.
Yep. Yeah, we're certainly getting there for sure.
And I mean, it's incredible to see not just, these guys switch engines between rounds. When you think about how complicated it is, it's not just a V8 in and out, just hooking up a throttle, a starter cable and firing it back up. It's all the sensors and making sure everything's right, and having, such minute tolerances. People are out there doing machine work between passes.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy. Like that was something that blew my mind one of the first couple years that I would go to this race, and people would be like, "Oh yeah, we have to, weld this back together, or we have to like hone these cylinders." And I'm like, "You're doing this essentially in a gravel. I mean, it's not gravel, but you're essentially doing this in a parking lot. You're rebuilding these engines and remachining them and putting them back together, like tearing apart transmissions and shimming pieces and putting them back. Like there's that joke, that meme of like where you think 1,000 horsepower engines are built, and it's like this lab, and then it's like where they're actually built, and the guy's like spraying the pistons with a water hose.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
It's so true.
And on the flip side, we're seeing how far we've come, because Miles Kerr broke his own Evo 10 record running the 7.7 and drove the car back on the trailer with a car that a couple of years ago they were bringing 3 and 4 engines to an event, and to keep the same engine the whole event. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's something too I noticed with the DSM and Mitsubishi stuff is. I mean, there's still to a degree is this level of like, hey, we're just going out here to set records and set PBs. But there's a degree of it's shifted from just doing that to actually going rounds and competing in these races.
Yeah.
Like you look at Aaron Gregory and what he's done with his car and set it up for Mean Street. And yeah, he put a smaller turbo on the car, but the car is still hauling ass. It's still going 740s with a completely different turbo, smaller turbo, different setup to fit this class, and it's still going rounds and doing the damn thing. Like it's impressive to see these guys are doing this, still going fast, but actually competitive now and driving the cars back onto the trailer at the end of the race. You're not pulling it in there on a winch or pushing it onto a trailer. It's still ready to go. They get it home, and it's ready to go to the next race.
Yeah, and it seemed to take so much stress off of the guys from not having to, hurry before limbs and have a new engine in there that, one that runs. I saw Devin after the last round of qualification taking the engine out. They started tearing it down, and I asked him, what got hurt? Oh, nothing, but we brought another engine, so we want to go ahead and put a fresh one in before eliminations.
Right. Swapping engines just to have a fresh one for eliminations. That's wild. I was actually across the pit from him that night when they were swapping. I think they swapped that whole engine in like 3 hours.
Yeah.
He pulled the old one out, new one in, everything had it fired up and running again in 3 hours.
Yep, he was swapping right across the lane. Mike and them were swapping.
Yep, yeah, Mike and gosh, they actually done quite a bit on Mike's car at that race. He cracked the block, had some issues, and cracked the block down the middle between all the bores.
That's what I was going to say, down the middle.
Which is the weird
thing. I hope everyone listening has seen the pictures, because it is crazy.
Yeah, it's not like cracked on an edge or outside the block or something like that. It's cracked down the middle between all the cylinders. It was such an interesting thing to see when we pulled the head off of that thing. But swap the engines, put this new engine in there, and realize that there was some issue with well, I think it was with one of the O-rings or the head gasket, and it was like chucking a bunch of water out of it. So not only did they swap the engine, they ended up swapping the head as well to put the original head that was on the motor back on the car. So it was a engine swap into a head swap into eliminations.
Yeah. Mike's put in a ton of work last couple of races that I've been to with him.
Oh yeah. He's done a lot of work, and that car is really starting to come into its own. I think we're just starting to see the beginnings of that thing really coming together. And I know if you used to watch Waller and Devin, even Aaron, even back in the day, the cars would kind of skate around the track, but they really started to figure some stuff out and dial things in, and those cars are just hooking and just shooting straight as an arrow down the track now. And I think that's really contributed to them just continuing to make the progress that they've been making. When you're not racing a 1,400 foot quarter mile and you can actually do the 1320, pick up some speed there.
Yeah. And that's kind of what he was saying too. After I talked to him after the event was over, was they finally got that solid axle figured out, and they're really able to keep it straight. Even at the shootout, they were having some problems during the burnout box. It was hooking right. So, they're definitely. I think they're just now getting to, full speed of where their actually potential is.
Oh yeah. I think that car's just going to get faster and faster now. He's done a lot of good work on that thing, and it's really coming into its own. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I spent a lot of time with him after qualifications going into eliminations, knowing that we were going up against Devin in the first round. And we're like, hey, we've, things been leaving kind of soft off the line. It's kind of bogging a little bit. How we fix that, how we clean up some of the fueling stuff. And we spent a lot of time going through all that stuff, and goes out right next round in E1 against Devin, which was kind of sad to see them going up against each other so soon. So you don't really know who to root for. You're kind of standing on the line. In my case, I'm standing on the line there in the middle of the two, trying to film both of them. And,
right.
But yeah, seeing all that kind of pay off, and Devin, not Devin, but Mike kind of get the jump and then get out in the track a little ways. And here comes Devin picking up all the steam right in the middle of the track. And then right at the very end, Waller pulls out the win. And you're like, woo! And at the same time, you're like, what happened to boosting? Where did it go? So that was such a big hyped race for me to stand there and see both of them go down the track side by side and make those passes.
And then when they announced that Mike was going to get a broke by, I thought, oh my God, we're going to the semifinals. This is crazy.
I know. I was really upset because I had to catch a flight out of there and I didn't get to see that. My plane leaving out of D.C. left at like 9 o'clock that night or something like that. So I had to leave the track at 7 or whatever. I missed a lot of the semifinals and obviously the finals.
And then the semifinal first round was Mike versus the Speed Factory guys, and people in the crowd were like, "Oh my God, it's the Red Demon versus Speed Factory." No.
Everybody gets those cars confused.
Just correcting people out in the crowd, trying to make sure my $1 bet was safe.
That's something I've never done. I know some of my coworkers and guys that I know at the track get up there and bet with stuff, but I've never actually put money on a bet at the drag at the World Cup finals. I don't know why. It just never happened.
It was just like I was sitting in the perfect little group there, make it all happen.
Yeah. So who'd you put your money on that race? Did you keep your dollar or did you lose it?
No, I lost it. I also lost it. Mike versus Devin. But Mike told me afterwards that he knew he was going to have to swing for the fence and put everything at it. So. It took a lot to take Devin out, but
yeah. No, I talked to Devin after round 1 of eliminations, and we were going over to the logs to try to see what happened. And he's mentioned this on Facebook and stuff, so I reckon it's okay to share. But we were sitting there kind of looking over the logs, like it completely lost power at the 1,000-foot mark. What happened? We're like pouring through the logs. Everything looks normal, but the logs just kind of looked like it almost looked like you just got your foot off the throttle, but I could see he clearly didn't. His foot was still in it, but he just lost all power.
Huh.
You were saying kind of looking through everything. What's going on? Have all these hypothetical things, but we're like, well, let's just fire up the motor and see what's happening. We fired it up, and it fired up and ran. Come to find out that split the intercooler or something like that. And
Oh yeah, that's right. I
lost
did see that.
all boost. So it was just hardware failure at that point. He'll be back. He'll be stronger than ever. He's got that new Ford rear end in the back of the car.
Yeah.
So he just looking forward to seeing more 6-second passes from him. Some upgrades, and he'll be back at it.
He was definitely on it. I know he was pumped about getting that rear end figured out. So
Then getting to back up his 6-second pass there in front of everybody in a sold-out crowd at World Cup Finals, that had to put you on cloud 9.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how that felt.
That was just so amazing, especially, at first it was like, okay, is this going to be a good pass? And then once, towards the top end of the track, you're like, oh my God, this is a really good pass.
Mm-hmm.
And that was amazing to watch that.
Yeah, there's a few like key things that I look for when a car's leaving the line to know if it's going to be a good pass or not. It's like you kind of watch the tire, kind of watch the chassis how it moves once it gets off the line and then out a little ways. Is it getting sideways or is it staying straight? And if it's it didn't bounce the car too hard, if it didn't rock coming off the line, if it didn't get squirrely out a little ways, then you're like, all right, this one's going to be good as long as nothing happens at the big end of the track. But those few things in the short track, you keep an eye on those things. You kind of have a good idea of whether it's going to be a good pass or not.
Yeah.
You always watch the Evos, and you could always see when they were fighting to get into the 7s, you could always tell that the way the car hopped, that it wasn't going to be a good pass.
Yeah.
If the car didn't hop and it kind of just squatted and went, it was on one. And that's what you're seeing now. Like every time Rafe goes up, that car doesn't hop unless something isn't going to work right.
Yeah.
If that car squats and leaves, he's making a 7-second pass.
That's what I told Rajan, because they seemed like every time they came up there, but it was bunny hopping so much. I asked him what the rear coilover setup was like, and he said that it was the same one they've been running forever. It just seemed so crazy because the track was so sticky.
Yeah, there's a fine line you walk at that track because it's so well prepped. Jason Miller does such a good job prepping that track and getting it ready. Well, him and his family, they run the place, but they do such a good job of prepping that track and getting it going that you spend at least your first few rounds in qualifying just trying to figure out the track and how much you can hit it with.
Yeah.
Because it's so well prepped. If you took your shootout prepped car to World Cup, it's going to bog off the line because it's going to stick so hard that you're not going to be ready for it.
The differences in prep between the two facilities is mind-boggling.
Insane. Yeah, I mean, you'd think the Summit Racing Motorsports track would be, the stickiest track out there, considering some of the stuff that they do. But, man, the Millers have something figured out, man. They got the killer Miller spiller out there really putting the glue down. So.
Yeah, to see, those A90 Supras do a wheel stand, touch the rear bumper, and almost
awesome.
every round. That says a lot about the quality of that track prep.
Oh yeah, for sure. And just that chassis in general is really impressing me. Like, as the amount of time that those cars have been out and they're already going out there and going that fast and doing full wheel stands coming off the ground, doing wheelies, like that's something else, man. Those cars are pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah,
I actually got to spend some time driving one when we went down to Florida for the Mitsu group meet down there. Like I rented one and borrowed it from somebody and rode around in one. Like I didn't really like them before then, but after I spent some time driving one, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll see this thing. It's good. I like it.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's problem too. Is after we got past the whole BMW crap, I think once people are seeing what they're doing, they're like, oh, okay, hang on now.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it still seems like not that many shops are really pushing them, but I think we'll see it more and more as time goes on as they get a little cheaper.
Oh yeah. Secondhand market on those things is going to be awesome. I can't wait because I can't afford to buy a new one right now.
Especially, you got to be careful in the used market after watching that wheel stand there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they'll have the same reputation one of these days as old DSMs.
Yeah,
exactly. They make power so easy that it's easy just to kind of whore them out, and then you sell it to the next guy with all these issues that are just hidden skin deep.
Now they're his problem.
Exactly.
So we've seen 14 Mitsubishis make it into the event, and only one made it to semifinals. I think we'll see some more Mitsubishis in next year. I know a lot of people are talking about it already. What have you seen in the past? I think this has probably got to be somewhere near the most Mitsubishis that have showed up to this event, right?
Close to it, I think. I'm trying to remember who all was there last year. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I want to say we had 10 or so. So this may have been the most at World Cup that I've seen. Usually you have the usual suspects. You have Aaron that's always there. You have Devin. You have Mike that's always there. You have the guys from TPG are always there. The English racing guys are always there. So, there's always a handful that have been there, forever. But, I think this may have actually been the one with the most that I've seen. So it was a really great turnout. I was bouncing all over the track the whole time. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was really hard to stay in one spot.
It really was. You're just kind of bouncing around, like trying to see what everybody's got going on, and you got everybody racing in different classes. So somebody's always at the starting line, and you're running from the pits to the staging lanes to try to catch everything you can.
Right, and you think, all right, I'm gonna catch a break, and then they call the group that you're looking for up to the staging lane. Like, man,
exactly. I was impressed too that there wasn't. You'd think the cars being kind of as on the edge as they are, that there would be more breakages at that race and more oil spills and cleanups and stuff. I mean, you compare it to the shootout or to FL2K or like it's not that bad. It's really not. Like the cars are insanely fast and they stay together for the most part, which is impressive.
I don't know if it's the mandatory engine tray, engine diaper situation or what, but yeah, you're right. It was few and far between.
Yeah. And they're not as noticeable. I mean, there was a couple bad moments. Like I was real terrified whenever I found out about David Farlow's wreck. That was a pretty scary wreck. You haven't seen it. They got out a good ways, and David's car unsettles, hooks hard to the right, and crashes right into the guy in the right lane. And both of them end up flipping and sliding down the track and catching fire. And it was a scary deal.
Yeah.
But even a big wreck like that got cleaned up relatively quick, considering how long of an issue it was from the first part of the track all the way down to the beams. It was a quick cleanup. So.
I was very surprised Wednesday when the Honda had flipped and they had come get him in a helicopter. I thought, well, this has got to be it for the racing for the night. It's already dark. I'm just going to go ahead and head out. And then I come the next day and like, after they got it cleaned up, we went back to racing. Holy cow.
Yep. Yeah. They don't get deterred, man. They clean it up and keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the wrecks, every wreck there was just nasty.
Oh yeah. It's always terrifying whenever there's a wreck at a racetrack. I mean, you're always fearful for the worst, but the safety crews there are second to none.
Yeah.
The crew, whenever something happens, the entire crew down at the starting line and just goes running to do everything that they can, anything that needs to be done. And that whole team there at MDIR is next level. They really got it together.
I'm glad they brought that helicopter for the guy on Wednesday, because unless the Amish have a hospital, I don't know how far that ambulance would have had to go.
Yeah, he would have had to been. Yeah, you're kind of in the middle of nowhere out there at that track, so yeah, you had a long haul any other direction. Yeah, that's a good thing they got the helicopter in.
Yeah. Well, so we got the dates for next year. It was November 1st through the 5th. Hopefully the weather will be the same, although that seems highly unlikely. Is there anything that that we don't, that we can look forward to? Is there going to be more classes, more cars, anything like that?
I think that Jason's pretty happy with the sizes of the classes and the number of classes. So I don't know if there's going to be more. I would imagine it would probably be about the same as what it was this year, size-wise for the racers anyway. I might be wrong, but it seemed this year worked pretty well. I know in the past we've had some classes that had so many cars in them, and then the cars, had issues, and we'd have one class that drug out for half the day. And so that class got trimmed down quite a bit this year, and I think that helped. So yeah, keeping the best of the best there keeps it entertaining, keeps things moving. You can kind of overpack an event I think we've seen that same issue at Texas 2K. You overpack an event and then you don't get all the qualifying rounds that you want. And you spend so much time with cleanups and breakages and wrecks and things happening that it's just becomes not fun.
Yeah.
At least, at the race the way it is now, if there is a breakage, you got, 15 to 30 minutes to get up and go to the bathroom or grab you some food or go check out some of the vendors and walk through the pits and check out some of the cars that are, around. You have some time to do that. When that becomes all the event is, you're hard pressed to get people to come back. You're better off watching it on speed video or something,
Right. Get that Flow Racing subscription.
Exactly.
Well, we should emphasize that it did sell out this year and that the tickets are going to go on sale September 1st of next year. I think he said noon Eastern Standard Time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe that is correct.
So you got to get on top of it if you want to make it to the big show. I know Sunday they said they were turning away people who've been in line for God knows how long.
Oh, hours. Like, did you see the line trying to get in? Like the number, like people just walking. Like people walked for miles from where they had to park out in like the overflow parking at the little golf cart. Like, man. Luckily, I've never had to deal with that. I end up getting in early and getting a golf cart or something to get around on. But just looking at the lines from picking people up in the pits or in the parking lot and stuff and coming in, like you feel bad. People have to go a long way, but then you kind of get those aerial shots of the racetrack and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
There are so many people and you don't always get that, the scope of that when you're there at the race because you're just one thing to the next, but kind of step back and there was a moment where I was standing on the starting line for a race and I just happened to you get to a point where you don't even pay attention to the people in the stands anymore. You're so focused on the cars and what's going on with the cars. But you kind of step back in a quiet moment and you just kind of look up and you're like, holy shit, these stands are packed shoulder to shoulder from top to bottom all the way down the track. And there are people along the fence as far as you can see.
Yep.
And you're like, this is really the Mac Daddy of drag racing.
There was not an empty seat that I saw Sunday.
No, definitely not.
But, yeah, it should be I don't know who it was. I want to say maybe Chris Barno told me to get there at 5 a.m. Sunday. Of course, I didn't listen. Got there at 6:30, and I didn't get through the gates until I think about 9:45. So
it doesn't surprise me, man. I mean, I've been there on load-in day with racers and got there on Tuesday and had to sleep on the track because there were so many pit vehicles and trailers trying to get in on load-in day.
Wow.
But you wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and you're standing outside bullshitting with people for a few hours. And then, you get back in the car and you end up sitting in the car for 3 more hours just trying to get through the gates on load-in day, let alone once spectators start showing up and once the crowds start pouring in and there's cars parked out as far as you can see. Like it is a serious race. And getting there early is if you want to be there for the whole show, that's important. The crazy thing is that you'll get there at 6 a.m. and you'll be there until 2 a.m. that night.
Right, exactly.
Because there's just so much going on. There's so much to do. It's wild. There are definitely some long days when you have to work those events.
And you better be prepared to walk a mile and a half back out to your car.
Yeah. Yeah, you better take some breaks and sit down throughout the day. If you're up on your feet the whole time, you'll know it come Monday.
Oh yeah.
I made a habit the last few years of going and buying a new pair of shoes before I go to the race.
There you go. That's what I should have done.
Yeah, so like the last 3 years in a row, I've gone out like a couple weeks before the race, bought a new pair of shoes, warm around the house and around work and stuff, and then take those puppies to the racetrack. And by the time you get done there at Maryland, they're broke in. There's no more lettering in the sole of the shoes. They're half worn.
Absolutely. Sunday, I parked out by the motocross track. That's where they parked me, and I thought, man, I want to bring a tractor and a little trailer, get a hayride going, make a killing out here.
There you go. That's a good idea.
Golly.
You can make some good money trailering people back and forth.
Absolutely. I know the guys at the gas station across the street. They were cleaning up out there.
Yeah, that little gas station's always busy.
$25 parking plus they have a little shuttle bus take you back and forth to the gate. Yeah. Ain't no telling how much they made. But yeah, this is definitely something that you know, even if your car can't get in, it doesn't matter. Come in and watch the racing.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool too. The cars that win these races, like you said, they have some huge payouts. And I think, what did Main Street pay out? I think it paid out $10,000. And like there's some high end cars and stuff that show up for that class. But the guys who have taken it home the last 2 years in a row are like some home built. Like I think last year it was Constantino and his Mark III Supra. It's like a Jay-Z swap Mark III Supra that him and his dad built.
Oh wow.
That won that class. And then this year it was Martin Conley and his crew of guys. They're local here in Kentucky.
Okay.
And it's gray Fox body, nitrous, big block motor setup, and home built car. Like those guys have an awesome program. But just looking at things, you'd look at it and be like, oh, okay, it's just a Fox body. No, that Fox body is fast as hell, and it won the race.
Is that the Craigslist killer, or was that the Super Street winner?
No, that was the Mean Street winner.
Okay.
It was that silver one. Martin Conley's car. It's the silver one that had the big block and nitrous and the Mean Street. So okay. Racing with Richard and Rich Ong and Aaron Gregory. He was in that class with those guys. It was cool to see Speed Factory come break into that 6-second pass too.
Definitely, and that car was definitely on a mission. It wasn't, they were straight down the line. Just so impressive to see how set up that car is because, it's no wonder it's given Devin a run for its money.
Yeah. I was mildly disappointed that Devin's pass got beat.
Yeah.
Like I was standing there, I was like, oh, sweet, he did a 6-second pass. I was like, oh, wait, the car's all-wheel drive. That means it just took the record from Devin. Damn it.
Yeah.
I was like, congratulations, but dang.
Exactly. That's how I felt like, wow, what a pass that was. And then, oh, shit, that means Devin's number 2 now. Yeah,
I was actually, I guess it was, Mike and James and that Civic were up in semis in that class.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And that was awesome. Mike had a hell of a pass. The Speed Factory guys, they pulled that 7-0 out and beat him, but it was cool to see them both going down. It was a good-looking race. Yeah,
and it was, towards the end, I think the cars were starting to get a little hurt put on them, and, that race was just like side by side the whole track. It was awesome to see.
Yeah. Yeah, those Hondas, man, they always pull away from you there at the top end of the track.
Yeah.
They really pour on the steam up there.
And those, I know a lot of DSM Mitsubishi people aren't going to want us hear us talking good about those Speed Factory guys, but man, those are some of the coolest guys I've ever got a chance to talk to.
Yeah, they're good dudes.
They gave Miles a rear end for his all-wheel drive Integra and just said, hey, bro, just, mail it back to us.
Not to spend too much time on, Hondas on a Mitsu podcast, but yeah, they are good guys. It's impressive to see any of these cars out here performing the way that they do. Like one of my favorite vehicles out there is Nick Coleman's S10.
Oh yeah,
the little black one. Yeah, dude, he is such a good guy. We've had him here at Haltech. He's been on the dyno with us here a few times, and he is such a good guy. And then to see that truck go out there and just click off 6-second passes like it's nothing. And he's in stick shift. Like that's the crazy thing is like these guys in stick shift are so fast now. And like Nick's truck, it's shaped like a brick. It's a 90s, like early 90s. I think it's a 91 S10.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's not like the Daddy Dave S10. It's like the old one.
No, yeah, like I said, it's shaped like a brick, and it goes out and makes 6-second passes. Like aerodynamics be damned. Right. We're gonna go fast.
Yep, just the same way with that Bel Air,
Yeah, absolutely.
Not meant to go that fast, not shaped to go that fast, but it's managing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so cool. Cletus. We can talk about Cletus McFarland too, out there in the mullet. That thing's fastest. I won two classes at FL2K, and then comes and wins. What class was he in it? At World Cup, Tres Cuarto Warriors versus Tres Cuarto.
Yeah.
Comes up here and wins that race too. I'm like, man, that car is really well put together. Think what you want or say what you want about it. That thing works, and it's fast as hell.
Yep. And I think it was before last round of eliminations, they had to put another engine in.
Oh, did they really? I didn't know that.
I was watching the YouTube video, and I forget what happened. But yeah, they end up having to. I guess their trailer has like a full lift in it, and they had to drop something out and replace a bunch of stuff on the engine. And the fact that they got it done in time is just amazing.
So, did you get to walk through the vendor row much?
Oh yeah, yep.
Did you see anything you liked through there?
Yeah, I mean, I got to talk to a bunch of people and see the kind of parts, or ask them about the parts that they made for Mitsubishi's. That are people that make the R&R rods. I know they're real popular with the fast guys. Kind of got to talk to them about those, and they showed me a 4G63 set, and I was talking to the 4-piston guys. They have some billet head setups for the Honda guys, so I wanted to talk about what we can do to get 4G63 billet head going. At least a program going, because we have plenty of need for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd actually really kick ass.
Yeah. They seem like they want to. Just gotta kind of see what we need to do. I mean, obviously, I don't have the need for it, so we just got to get the right people talking, I guess. I think it's more of a lifter problem than it is the head casting issue. So I don't really know what the fix for that is.
Yeah, well, they have a head that has the shim under bucket style, but I don't know anybody that's used it.
Yeah, I just tagged Nick Amaral on one of those it's got to be worth a try. My God. The Evo guys, they all had a hard break, honestly, except for Miles. Well, Miles, too, kind of had a hard break because he had some timing light issue. I think the same thing that Nick had.
Yeah.
But, Rafe didn't even get to turn the nitrous on for the last couple passes, so that sucks.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, it gets to a point where it's a battle of attrition once you get into elimination.
For sure.
So you kind of have
For sure.
make what decisions you can to keep the motor together and just keep making rounds. And it's not uncommon for good racers to get. I think it happened to Devin a few years ago. He's got there on a hurt motor, but he was in eliminations, so he wanted to make rounds. So he goes out and makes a pass, sans nitrous, and you just gotta do it. Keep racing.
Yeah, and it's not like the shootout where you got a 50-50 chance you might get a broke by. You have
right.
You have maybe a 10% chance you're going to get a broke by.
Yeah, broke bys don't happen often at World Cup, and if they do, it's last minute, man. It's there's no time to get back up in there, and yeah, these guys are, like I said, we've said it the whole podcast now, but they're on a different level, man. These cars are together, they work, the crews are the best of the best, and they do everything they can to keep them running.
I mean, maybe it's a little different from your perspective, but I also think it's cool. Like, man, this Pro Mod is running the same, Haltech system that I'm running. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty neat to see that, isn't it? Like, you see these Pro Mod guys running Elite 2500s, or one of my favorite ones is the guys who are still running the old Platinum ECUs, like Tony Marks.
Yeah.
His car still has an antique at this point Platinum ECU in it, but it still works, man. It's still out there putting down passes and getting the job done.
Because
it's kind of cool.
He was talking about upgrading, so I thought he had kind of joked about jumping on the R3, and I thought by the time when he said he had made some big changes for World Cup, I was like, all right, let me look in the passenger door here. Nope, still Platinum here on the floorboard.
Yep. Yeah, I remember when I first saw that car. I think, gosh, I want to say it had to be 2019, I guess, because I didn't make it to the shootout in 2020. Or when we didn't have one in 2020, I didn't make it in 21 because I had COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had to be 19 or 18 maybe. Where it was before he painted the car green, and I was kind of walking around looking at all the cars, like, hey, who's running Haltex? And just happened to like see that silver box in the floor, and I was like, yo, that's on a Platinum. He was like, yes, it is.
Did you? This is a little off topic. Did you get to see Kigley's son's go-kart that's on a Platinum?
Yes, yeah. That Platinum used to be in Kigley's car.
Oh, okay. That's
when he upgraded to the Elite. They took it off of his car and put it onto the cart, and his son's been playing with that for a couple of years. It cracks me up every time to see him like riding around the pits in a little go kart, and it's like popping and banging because it's got the world's tiniest turbo on it,
right.
And he's sitting there with a laptop like poking keys. I was like, that kid is going to be so switched on one of these days. Like I'm gonna keep an eye on him.
Right. Soon he's going to have a very fast car out here.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I'm sure it's just a matter of time.
And, for Kigley to not have a horse in the race, so to say, and to come out and provide technical advice in the pits and expertise, that was pretty amazing to see.
Oh, yeah, he's done that forever. Like, he did that last year, too. Just happened to be there and ended up helping us change torque converter in Adriana's car. And, like, we're all there working on this thing, and like they just happened to be there, and like him and his wife and his kids, they all just dove in and helped, and like I'm glad he was there because it ended up making everything work like a well-oiled machine when you have like the transmission guy there telling you what to do and how to do it, and it was awesome. Yeah, their whole family is amazing. I love that group so much.
Yeah, definitely, great group of people.
Yeah,
but yeah, this is to put a little bow on it, this is the event you have to go to. Put it in your calendars now. Get your tickets September 1st. Don't show up to the event and have to drive God knows how far back home. Get your tickets. Get to this race. See these cars. Even if you're just coming out to support our Mitsubishi guys in there, I mean, they need everything that they can get.
Yeah, absolutely. Buy them early. Don't show up and hope that you're going to get in, because every year the race gets bigger. And like I didn't know that the event had never sold out before. When they announced it this year that the event was sold out and they were turning people away, I was like, wait, hold on. All these years leading up to this, the crowds have always been massive, and you're telling me we just now sold out? That's insane. So yeah, don't wait. Buy your tickets early. Get in there. See the cars, see the drivers, come see us in the pits or in vendor row. There's always deals. Everybody's always got deals going on if you're looking for parts and trying to buy some stuff. It's the perfect time to do that. Talk shop with some of these guys. There's so much knowledge at this race, and people are so open to just discussing things and talking about things and bouncing ideas off of each other. It's a perfect storm of situations for any gearhead to really get in there and like see what it takes to be that next level.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're on the verge of, you're thinking about taking your car to the next level, this is the event you got to go to see what it's going to take and what it takes to not just get to an event, but to make it through an event. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking to add to your sweet collection of car shirts, this is also the place you got to be.
Yeah, there is a wide selection of car merch available at that race, and there's some cool stuff there this year. Actually, one of my favorite ones was the one that we sold at Haltech, and right next to us, our sister company now, Wiseco. We had the import versus domestic with a DSM and a Supra versus a Fox Body and a Camaro, I think it was.
Yep.
That was one of the coolest shirts that I've seen. I was really impressed that marketing kicked that one out because it was a hit. We sold out of every single one of those shirts.
It
was a limited run. They're gone now. You can't get them anywhere else.
I got both colors, the red one and the yellow one.
Awesome.
Once I seen Aaron had posted that his car was in there, I was like, oh, I got to get one of those. And then
marketing, they were like, we're kind of like make them generic, kind of like color them to fit the color scheme. And I was like, that's still Aaron's car. Right. And they're like, yeah, it is. And I was like, ha.
Even in white, you can tell.
Yeah, even in white, you know that it's Aaron's car.
Yeah. All right, Josh. Well, hey, thanks for coming on here. I'm glad we got to do a little recap so people can hear, from someone else other than me. Just being a fanboy of, how great of an event it is and what kind of stuff you can gain by going to this event.
Absolutely. Don't miss it. It's like you said, it's life-changing. And like I said, it'll change your perception of speed.
Yeah. If you didn't want to go fast before, you're going to want to after you make it to this. But
No
hopefully
problem.
we can hear from you soon. We're still looking for that 4G69 Evo update.
I'll have some updates on it soon.
There you go.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. If you ever need
Absolutely.
anything else, holler at me.
Will do, man. You take it easy.
All right, you too. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.